Hey everybody, it's Book of Katherine. I have some really big news for you guys. This news is going to shock you when you hear it, but it's very, very applicable to all ends of the spectrum, wherever you lie, whatever lifestyle that you lead or whatever belief system you have. This actually applies to you, this news today. So I thought it was really, really important, especially since we're voting today, since it's such a huge voting day in America. But worldwide, this applies to you, and you'd be probably surprised about that. But let's talk about it. So basically, they're banning cash. There was a bill in Australia, and it's a test bill. They're doing it under the table, and it's a test bill to see how Westerners will handle it in the upper echelons, how they're going to handle it, and what our reaction to it will be, passing it, how we're going to handle it. And when we react to it, they're going to track it on social media and see how we take it, because they're going to know who is actually using cash and who actually sticks by it. But it still matters. And I think that, as I always say, don't react on social media, contact your representatives. That's a much more private way to do it. But let me tell you what's happening. I'll let Australia tell you about it. What's interesting is that this wasn't reported in the news. It wasn't done a press release. According to this guy, he heard about it by passing through somebody in the airport, and somebody in the airport told him about it. And that's exactly how it's done, because the people traveling in the airport are exactly who would be affected. I spend cash personally. I spend cash in order not to be traced. That's the thing that people don't really understand. And I think even people who the generations directly behind me, like if you're born right after ATM, like I was born right before ATMs were invented. If you're born right after ATMs were invented, then it's this kind of thing with a card. You think that a card is all there is, or you think that Bitcoin's all there is. But here's the thing: is they can trace you with a card. Every time you use your card, you see every single Jason Bourne movie or whatever you see. That's your data. They can follow you where you go. And when they're trying to find you, the thing is that that's if you break the law. Well, they also do that to track your shopping habits, your private habits. And in China, we know that they use all of that data, your spending data, your cash data, your phone data, when you use your phone to pay. They're using all that data to make what's called a social credit score on you. And then what they do is they rank you up, you and down you. And in China, what they're doing is that then they give you certain rights based on your buying habits and the things that your personal beliefs that you're living out. Then they say, okay, you can travel this far from your city based on your personal beliefs. Then you can take this transportation based on your personal beliefs. If you don't buy from these companies, then you can't ride this kind of transportation. You're going to have to take a bike. Oh, are you exhibiting this kind of faith instead of this kind of belief system? Oh, sorry, then you can't take the airport. You can no longer travel by airplane. Maybe that sounds crazy to you, but that's actually the social credit score system that China uses, and you just don't hear about it because they have this big firewall up around it. And it's the one that the United Nations is trying to work us towards, because Google wrote it. Google and Silicon Valley and Facebook, they developed the software for this social credit score system. And the reason they want to ban cash is because you can't do a social credit score if you're using cash. People buy cars in cash. They buy buildings in cash. They rent hotel rooms in cash. Even my husband and I, when we go dancing, we pay for everything in cash because we don't want to leave our names where we are, because quite frankly, we're famous. I'm sorry, but my husband and I are famous. We don't want to leave our names. We don't want to leave a record of where we've been dancing, because we've moved. We don't want everybody in the world to know and start tracing us down and being like, oh, the famous dancers have moved here, and if we start leaving our names where we are dancing, that's it. So we pay in cash, so that's what they're doing. They're banning it. It's so that it eliminates your privacy, is what they're doing with this ban. And they're doing it legislatively. And this guy is saying, well, if Canada or if Australia is a conservative government, if we've elected all conservative people, how are they doing this leftist thing and I'm like, you're not conservative. You're under a leftist monarch. You have a monarch, you have Queen Elizabeth, and she's under the climate change agenda, the entire role of family, our climate change. Your bill, your money, £5 bill in Australia has the picture of a monarch on it. You have no parliament, you have no people's voice. Whatever she says, go. And right now, the Queen says climate change, the Queen says, and the climate change is the world government. And okay, so let me go ahead and press play on this thing. I can't even get started. And the reason I say this applies to everyone of all things is because liberals are high cash spenders. They spend cash when they go to high boutiques. They're very, very private people. Most of my friends are liberal or were ex-liberals or whatever. They all spend cash. They don't want anyone knowing their business. They all spend cash. And this bill is starting with banning transactions of $10,000 and above. Sorry, but there's a lot of transactions that go above $10,000. And what happens is once they start tracing those transactions, they can start finding you and start tracking down those people and start absorbing their wealth. Remember I showed you that champagne glass? And they want to start taking anyone's wealth that's up there, like, they locked down Taylor Swift, didn't they? That hedge fund swallowed up her wealth, didn't they? And now they control everything she does and swallows her wealth up. They're vacuuming up whatever wealth they haven't vacuumed up in the world so far. And the cash spenders are the little bit of money that they haven't got. They're like, oh, we still need to keep vacuuming it. And this is the way they're doing it. They need to track down whoever still has the big cash to make the building purchases that you can't buy, the car purchases, whatever. And there's a lot of people that do cash purchases. I know in California, we got ran over with some cars. One lady ran into our car, Our car was just sitting there. And they just smashed into it. They smashed into our radiator or whatever. And they just took it right to the thing and they just paid cash for everything. We got a new bumper. We got a new paint job. We got a new everything. They paid cash. So we never learned their name. We never learned who they were. I mean, we know where they are, but they had a big company. They didn't want any trace of anything. They didn't want the insurance companies knowing anything. And I was like, I would really love to be them someday. I would really love that, to never have a paper trail someday. And I just was like, but their boss. They worked it. They did what it took to have the American dream and have a major company. They were so professional. They could have tried to get out of it. They could have easily tried to get out of it. We didn't see anything. We didn't have to know about it. They didn't have to do anything, but nope, they took care of it. They just were like, nope, they did the right thing. And there are a lot of boss people who just pay the cash and do it, and they're going after those people now. And it's like, and so that's a lot of liberal people that do that. So they're going after their own donors, by the way, the leftists. And so, but they can now, they have the power to do that. And then there's the conservatives. And the reason this is interesting, well, maybe not the conservatives. I should say now that I'm studying it, goes to the whole end times thing. This is that mark of the beast I'm learning. There's this whole mark of the beast thing. They say that there's going to be a world government at the end. And I was like, hello, there already is one. Would you like me to show their economics government? There already is. There has been a working world government for 30 years now. Fully working, fully functioning world government. Ever since the United Nations in 1948. That was the establishment of a world government. There was a world constitution. It's been going for, by the way, 70 years, which you said was the Antichrist. It's been going for 70 years. And then boom, suddenly Donald Trump rises and things start to reverse. I think that's very interesting. I think it's very interesting. People should pay attention. But now there's this, I don't know enough about everything. It's not supposed, there's supposed to be, anyway, so there's supposed to be, I'm getting all things mixed up. I know it doesn't all fit. But anyway, I'm just saying there's lots of little things here. I can't find anyone with a map of what the actual dates are. And it doesn't seem like anything's very clear. And that's what you get with text like this, except that 70% of these prophecies have come true. And that's what's really freaky. So down to the thing of a king will come along named Cyrus, and they will do this in 200 years. And I'm like, okay, that's really, really specific. Boom. And that happens. I'm like, that's really, yeah. So anyway, it says that this globalist government will come along and they will make a cashless system where everyone will have to buy and trade using something with your right hand and something on your forehead. Well, I'm just kind of right hand is obviously your cell phone, and forehead is obviously looking at a screen. It shines up when you're looking at your computer screen, it shines back on your screen. So if you're looking at something and you're typing on your screen or you're doing your tablet or whatever, it shines on your forehead. I'm like, that's obviously, the internet or your phone. You're doing it on your phone, but it doesn't shine on your screen. But if you do a laptop, tablet, or big LED screen, then it shines on your forehead. You know what I mean? So I'm like, that's exactly the internet. It's the internet, easily the internet. And if they remove a cashless system, if they remove cash from the market, it forces everyone to buy on the internet and do an internet, like a wire trade. It forces everyone to trade on the wire system. And eventually they'll take away banking cards, and they're already talking about a one bank system to do just the World Bank, which is all the Royals Bank, to do a World Bank system. And, say, okay, just do it on your phones. And then they can really just do the social credit score on you. That's why America is such a big target. People don't realize how small America is. But it's like the one place with these rights and freedom. All right, I'll hit play. Here we go. So that's why it's relevant to both parties. I don't think the other side is, I don't think from what I know of, I don't know anybody on that side. I'm like, do I know anybody on the other side? I know a few scholars, but I don't know. Well, actually, the scholars I know do pretty well for themselves, but they're not immersed in the culture of any kind of church or Christianity. So I don't know if Christians today have any money, but I don't know anything about their spending habits if they use cash or anything. So I can't answer that. I just know that liberals they are really big on, I'm really big on cash. So, because it's privacy.
Hasn't received a lot of attention, but it should. In fact, I learned about this by chance when someone bailed me up at Melbourne Airport. And to be honest, I didn't know what he was talking about. This is the Currency Restrictions on the Use of Cash Bill 2019. Basically, it'll ban the use of cash transactions over $10,000. If you breach the rules, you can face up to 2 years in jail. It has already amazingly passed the House of Representatives, where Labor voted to support it. God knows what the coalition were doing. Many people have now written to me, including members of the Parliament, telling me it's a bad idea, Liberal members. The Senate referred the bill to their References Committee, which handed down its findings last week. The Senate inquiry backed the bill, and the Senate committee recommended the bill be passed contingent upon several changes, including that the start date be extended to give businesses sufficient time to comply. But what the hell is a Conservative government? I mean, is it really Conservative? What's it up to here? The law was due to take hold on January 1 this year. Thankfully, it's not going to be applied retrospectively, but many members of the Liberal Party are saying it's antithetical to the party's values, and it is. I mean, listen to this. The Senate inquiry received 2,659 submissions by early December. The majority opposed the bill. Many rightly argue that the government should not be interfering with an individual.
Right. So that's I really want to point that out, is that 6,000 people, they oppose the bill, and yet the Senate is backing the bill, and it's moved through the House. They're passing the bill, this Conservative government in Australia. This is also happening in the UK, by the way, in the UK and Canada. All these bills that people are like, but it doesn't make sense, like Huawei in the UK. People don't back it. It's not a Conservative bill. Why is it being passed? How is this still happening? And I'm just like, hello? This is your queen. You don't have a people's government. You don't have fair representation. You have a monarch. You never separated. You never fought a war for independence. You have a queen. Look it up. You have a monarch. And do you know why she looks pissed? This is the 2016 release. The 2016. Do you know why she looks pissed? Do you know why she looks pissed? Number one, she's pissed you're using cash in the year 2016 so that she can't trace you. How dare you use cash? You should be using Bitcoin, or you should be using your phone. How freaking dare you in the year 2016 use cash? How dare you? And number two, she's giving you that look because you did Milo Yiannopoulos. Milo. You had Milo tour. So bad Australia, acting like free people. Naughty, naughty, naughty. And so you get a slap on the wrist. You get a monarch picture where you're looking like, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. That's right. Before the Bahamas gets a nice shining picture of Miss Elizabeth. Their modern picture gets, oh, you're so happy. Do you know why? Because they're all working on plantations for her. They have sugarcane plantations that when you go to the Bahamas on all your Royal Caribbean cruises, you go and you get to take tours. They offer, you can pay $150 and take a tour of her sugarcane plantations. I'd like to go ahead and point out that there are 54 nations part of the Commonwealth. 54. I'd like you to check out how poor those nations are. When people complain about world poverty, how many of those nations are part of the Commonwealth of the Queen of the British Empire? And check out how wealthy they were before they became part of the Commonwealth and how wealthy they are now. Case in point, South Africa, not doing so well since they joined the Commonwealth, are they? Nope. Not Nigeria, Zimbabwe, everyone's just tanking. The little islands of Tuvalu, poorest nation in the world. Even though it has snorkeling and all these amazing things, could be Tahiti, but oh no, because it's property of the Queen, it's the poorest nation in the world. That's what monarchies do. They own slaves. It's what they do. No one can have money but them. And so now they're moving to a cashless system. So what can you do? All right. The first thing you can do is you can contact your representatives. And I know that feels like a pain in the butt, but I'd like to ask you, is this what you want? Do you really want to move nice and easy towards this thing of no cash whatsoever? Let me refer to you what they said. You go to jail. They jail you for using cash. Why? Why would any government want to jail you? What is a greater sign of tyranny? That bill was not created by Australia. That bill was created by the United Nations Sustainable Development that's literally by the climate change government. That's crap thought up by Rome. The Roman Empire, that is literally the tyranny of the Roman Empire. That's made by powerful elites that can do whatever they want. Please say something to your representatives and be like, I'm voting you out. Today is March 3rd. Vote them out. And this is, again, why you have to vote in, take a risk today, and vote in somebody who does not look like a politician, but looks like somebody that's been effed over by the system and is mad as heck. They need to look like someone, just look like somebody off the street. They cannot be someone who's all oiled and slicked up. They cannot be someone who's gone to an Ivy League college. It cannot be some Catholic refining student. And let me be very clear. I was raised Catholic. There's a big difference between being raised Catholic, There's plenty of conservative YouTubers who are Catholic. That's very different being sent to a university for Catholics. Have you checked out the Catholic universities? They train these politicians. They say what to do with the freedoms you've been given. And then they train them on how to take away rights from people. That's what they train them to do. The Pope trains them in these Catholic schools to take away rights and freedoms from you. And that's why Governor Chris Christie, who has that education, has now introduced Germany's Nazi convicted at Nuremberg war trials, has now introduced BASF, a war criminal, brought up Hitler, did World War I, introduced them into New Jersey, now has headquarters there. Thank you, Catholic, brainwashing. That's very different than just being raised Catholic. Like, there's amazing Catholics or whatever, but we have to ask ourselves why all their belief system lines up with the GOP party, but they all vote Catholic. When you get your card, it says to vote Democrat, which goes against all of their belief systems. And you just start asking why. You're like, well, the Democrats don't stand for free speech anymore, and they don't stand for freedom of religion anymore. Well, doesn't that automatically mean that they're GOP? Like, that doesn't make sense, And then you're like, oh, okay, they're pro-abortion, which, everyone stands on different things, but the GOP definitely stands on, they're really, really big into, abortion. So that's, that alone, and yet priests are out there pumping the climate change thing that says, abortion should be legalized globally And not only that, but funded by the public, by the taxpayer, which really pisses me off because I would love to have my spine funded by the taxpayer. No, I wouldn't really. I don't think anyone should fund my thing, but I just feel like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think anyone should be held at gunpoint to be paying for each other's health care. You know, I think freedom is the biggest thing. Freedom, I think we're really lucky to have freedom. I'm going off on other things. So you should be aware of that bill. Contact your representatives, write in. You'd be surprised at how easy that is to do once you start looking into it. Once you look into, there are forms. You can actually send in forms. There are actually numbers that you can call to reach your legislature. And then there's this guy that he wants to know what you think of it. This is what they want to know. It says, have your say. This is where the UN is going to look and see if you guys really care or not. This is the big thing. Hashtag Jones and Credlin. So he has this thing. This is where they're really, if you just do social media, they're going to look at whether or not you do anything with this, because I'm sure he's saying he did it, that Jones and Credlin at the bottom there. They're going to want to know. That's what they're going to be looking at, is at the hashtag. It came out on March 3rd. They want to know if you care or not. And this is the one thing where you're going to have to use that hashtag Jones and Credlin. It's good. You're going to have to make it a meme. And I think this is one of those V for Vendetta things. Unless you guys are super gung-ho on this whole Antichrist thing. By the way, one last thing I want to say on the Antichrist is that my insiders are starting to ask questions like, is it really a person? Is it? And I don't know. I haven't studied it enough for whatever. But what I can say is that, I can't think of anything, all the characteristics that they talk about this Antichrist dude. What I can say is that the United Nations does all of it. Their sustainable development thing does all of it. It is all the militarization, like it says that there'll be a massive demilitarization thing. Well, it actually has a demilitarized thing. It says it'll be amazing politician. These guys are the best politicians in the world. Everyone follows. It says the world will say, who can go against them? That's what you guys say to me all the time. Who can stop these guys? Who can stop? No one can stop these guys. Who can go against it? And then it says that it'll be it'll stand in the place of Christ. Well, it is. It's king of the globe. It's the first thing that ever stood in and said, we rule the globe. Like, we are the global king. And they're actual kings, royals or whatever. And I just realized that the other day. Anyway, I'm going off on a different subject. Please do the hashtag Jones and Credlin. And I'll talk to you guys about the other stuff later. All right. Love you guys so much. Donate down below. That's the other thing, like PayPal, like I know they can trace PayPal, like you can go ahead and donate PayPal or whatever. I just need $1 a month to keep me going and keep all the doctor's appointments. I'm doing so many more doctor's appointments. Like I was thinking, like, why is it that I don't take showers as often as I used to? Or why is it that I don't take walks as often as I used to? And my friends were like, do you know how many more doctor's appointments you're going to? Do you have any idea how much more you're actually getting to see? How many more specialists you're getting to see? How much more active you are on the being seen front? And I was like, oh, like they're just the actions moving around, like the activities being moved around. So I have to be aware of that. Like we're able to do more, the activities are increasing, and so I'm putting it towards the best thing for me. It's very exciting. Anyway, so if you could donate down below $1 a month, and then and that's about it. I'll see you guys around on the other side. Have fun voting today, March 3rd, Super Tuesday. And the voting videos, I just posted 15 videos last night. Ton of videos last night. Lots of information there. So, sorry I was not well enough to post a lot of them earlier, but that is just the way that it goes. There was one like before all these super huge, I really needed donations before these super huge procedures, and I wasn't able to get the video up before them. And now it's like after them all, and it's like, could you please donate? I really need. And I'm like, yeah, wait, so much for that. Like all these huge procedures are over with. I'm like, oh well. So I do the best that I can. So, all right. I love you guys so much. Mwah. I'll talk to you guys soon. Love you.